Alright, so for my budget, I chose to do a $55,000 budget for the athletic department. With that budget, $50,000 of the budget will be used. $5,000 will be set aside for emergency uses or for any equipment that was forgot to be purchased during the year. I edited all the budgets that were turned in by all the coaches. There were 15 sports that were turned in. All the sports were listed by priority. So anything that needed to be purchased was on the top. Anything that was simply just a wish for the sports program was at the bottom. Both of these are boys and girls teams between the 15 sports. All the sports that were talked about were boys and girls lacrosse, boys and girls basketball, softball, baseball, boys and girls volleyball, track and field, football, boys and girls soccer, field hockey, cheer, and wrestling. Some of the items that were cut off the budgets were simply because they weren't going to fit in the budget, like the big shooting machine for basketball, also for baseball, the machine that throws the balls out into the field. Same with volleyball, one of the shaggers, and soccer, some of like the flags for the side of the fields, and also the rebounders. Something else that I cut out of budgets will be shoes. Shoes will be purchased by every team's players that make the teams and not allowed in the budget. That way we don't waste any money on kids that simply want to wear their own shoes during the school year and not shoes that were purchased by the coach. Also, shin guards, new goalie gloves, new catcher's mitts, anything like that will also be purchased by the individual themselves and not the team or in the budget. Another way that we will save money in the budget is all practice shirts will actually be t-shirts that each team can choose their own colored t-shirts. We'll do 2 t-shirts per team, so that will include varsity, junior varsity, and freshman. Those t-shirts will then be used during the summer as well if we go to any summer camps. Also, they will include screen printing on them, which says either up to the coach a quote, a player's number, and anything like that, etc. Another way that anything that was left out of any of the budgets can be achieved is through fundraising. All the coaches are allowed to fundraise as much as they want during the year and as much as the parents are willing to help. The Booster Club can also help out, but the Booster Club is going to be limited on what they can supply. I don't want any of the coaches to rely on the Booster Club and getting them anything that they need that they didn't achieve off of their budget that they turned in to the athletic director. Some good ways of fundraising, they can work the concession stands at home, supply their own goods, and collect any money that they make off of the concession stands. There's also ways they can fundraise through doing Krispy Kreme donuts like we did in high school. There's Casey's Pizza cards, there's car washes, bake sales. I know Helias was big on doing the raffle tickets at the beginning of the year, and then also doing a sale of ribs, which sounds interesting, but they all sold ribs throughout the year, and it was actually a great turnout. Point on a few sports that I looked at the budgets and eliminated some of the things out of the budgets. The first one would be boys volleyball. I definitely want to keep the boys jerseys and the shorts. Like I said, the varsity jerseys will be passed down to the JV. The varsity will get new jerseys every year. Some of the things that the boys volleyball team does not need to purchase would be the flags. Women's volleyball would have the flags, so boys volleyball would not need to purchase their own. They're at different times in the season, so they can use that as well. Same with the nets. You won't need to purchase a new net because the net is the same one the women's use, and it can be raised. Same with the poles and the standards and the ref stand for the official. None of that will need to be purchased, so we can cut a big chunk of the budget out that way. Let's see what else. They also cut from that is the scoreboard. The scoreboard will be used in the gym. You won't need an actual flipper. You can just post it up on the wall. The next one that I want to talk about was boys soccer. Things I'm cutting in boys soccer, again, are the shoes, the shin guards, the pop-up nuts, and that rebounder. There should be enough kids on your team that the kids can rebound their own balls. I firmly believe in that they do not need to be lazy and they can move their feet and go get their own balls. Shin guards kids have preferences, and we're not going to waste money on something that a kid may or may not use. Same with shoes. Baseball. I looked at most of the baseball stuff, and I do agree that I don't know much about baseball, so I was looking at his budget, and the only thing I really cut from that was the Fungo Man, or whatever it's called, and it shoots balls to the players. As far as like the catcher's set, I do think we should have a backup one. That one will get kind of beat up throughout the year, and it would be okay to have a backup catcher set. Same with batting helmets. Anything I would do would just cut it down by a few that we need to purchase, because we will have some from last year, and as long as we keep them in good shape as coaches and we know who's taking care of our equipment, we shouldn't have to worry about how much damage is being put on to our equipment. Any of the other programs that I talked about are listed below, and I will show them on my slideshow. But definitely for budgets, I think it is a doable budget to keep it within $50,000 and have that $5,000 backup in case there's an emergency or an accident. So that is my budget, and that is how I went about deciding who got what and what needed to be cut from my budget.